You know, not so very long ago, we were very happy to be what we call Abba Even Jews. Do you know what Abba Even Jews are? Abba even said Jewish people love clouds with no silver lining. So a little while ago, we were so comfortable complaining about assimilation in the diaspora and our children not doing what they're supposed to be doing, and then October 7th. A little while ago, we were very comfortable talking about Jews in the diaspora versus Jews in Israel, and we disagree and how we agree and don't agree, and then October 7th. Until very, very recently, we were hot-headed about judicial reform, and then October 7th, and now January 7th, and a little bit. You know, Mark Twain came to Israel in the 19th century, and he looked at, he was quite unimpressed with the land of Israel. And he saw people sitting around, it was Tisha B'Av, and they were sitting around and they were crying and mourning, and Mark Twain said, "What are you crying and mourning about?" And he said, "We're mourning for the Beit HaMikdash." "Oh, when did that happen?" "Oh, about 2,000 years ago." Now, I'm not quoting him exactly, but Mark Twain said, a people who can keep in their heart the memory of 2,000 years ago are destined to be great people. But Mark Twain didn't know something. He didn't speak Hebrew, and he didn't know that in Hebrew, liskol, zecher, isn't exactly to remember. It means in memory of. To be in memory of something, you need to do something. You need to act. And you know what? They did a pretty good job of acting, because look where we are today. They really established Judaism as we know it today. Fast forward 1948, after the devastation of the Holocaust, we act to be in memory of. What did we do? We established one of the strongest and diversified diaspora that we've ever seen. We've established a state of Israel, an independent sovereign state, startup nation, and I know this is going to be hard to believe, but the seventh happiest people in the world. Now, let's go back the other way in history. Let's see, when the other devastation occurred, our very first devastation, when we were in Egypt, and slaves in Egypt, and God, we were redeemed and taken out of Egypt. So some people say, why did we get taken out of Egypt? Well, we were suffering, it was hard, it was bad. That's why we were taken out of Egypt. But that is not what our sources say. Our sources say we were taken out of Egypt to establish a relationship based on these qualities. On the qualities of kindness, empathy, sympathy, generosity, and truth. And who were to be the recipients of this generosity and good? A group of people who are mentioned no less than 36 times. You know who that group is? Gil, Yatom, Be'alana, the stranger, the orphan, and the widow. We came out of Egypt in slavery, and the first thing was to remember the orphan, the widow, and the stranger. What we need to do for someone else, how we need to behave. Now you can say to me, well, Kathy, that doesn't make sense. Because, they were in slavery for 200 years. Why God couldn't come up with this plan a little bit sooner? No. He had to wait for this one special word, tza'akatam, their outcry. We as a people had to cry out together in unison and say, we are ready now to make a change. We are ready now to take responsibility. Now, I'm sorry, I have to make this comparison between God and Charlie Chaplin. In The Great Dictator, he said this wonderful thing. The goodness of man cries out. You know for what? To never allow us to be the victim of a system that allows people to murder, kidnap, assault any innocent human being. So 1500 BCE, 70 CE, 1948, October 7th, and January 7th plus. And here we are today. But there's a difference today. Today we are here for IDFWO. Just think about it for a minute. Today we're here where our soldiers today experience one of the hardest fights in this battle since October the 7th. Brave young men and women who are fighting to do what? To save and maintain the security of the state of Israel, the security of the people of Israel, and our security, and what they're doing for us. And you know, there's something very interesting that when the sages said to us that when we're dispersed all over the world, and they said, how are we going to keep the Jewish people when they're all over the world? And they came up with an incredible plan. They said, we're going to keep a little bit of Jerusalem and Israel in our heart and soul. And that's, I think, what we're doing here today. I don't know if you know this, but you're actually builders. You know, when we talk about that memory, we say, yes, we have to remember. But if we don't reach out and plan for the future, if we don't reach out and do for those people that can't do for themselves, what are we relegated to? We're relegated to mourning. So at the same time as our brave soldiers are fighting, we're building for people who need us, who need to restructure their lives, who need to find their place again, who need to rebuild and to rebuild the land. So I don't know if any of you are good construction workers. I don't know that. But I know that you're very good bridge builders, because I'll tell you why. We together have built this sort of metaphoric suspension bridge. On the one side, we're anchored. We're anchored with steel plates and girders. I'm not exactly sure how you build a suspension bridge. And look around. Here we are. Look to your left, to your right, in front of you, behind you. And what do you see? Friends, neighbors, people you don't know, people that you're going to meet. But what you do see is a resolute community who is not in memory, but in memory of, and who will act and continue to act, not just learn. So on the one hand, here we are. On the other hand, that suspension bridge goes all over the oceans and the waterways of the world. So from this place, just like our sages told us, we can have a far reach. We can reach across from here to Israel, to the people that need us, to the people that you are here today. And we thank you so much. We appreciate it so much. Special kudos goes out to Einat Katz, who has really mobilized and built over and over again. And who's kept the dream alive, who's empowered us, who's engaged us, who's made these miracles and dreams come true. And we thank you so much. Now, I want you to, the last thing, you know, Moses stood in front of the people and delivered his last speech. And that last speech was called Zot HaShirah. Hebrew is a very nuanced language. Shirah in Hebrew can mean either poetry or song. Now, if it means poetry, it's incumbent upon us to read between the lines. What does that mean? You are bombarded by fake news and bad news and people yelling and screaming and marching and protesting. And what do we need to do? We need to read between the lines. We need to figure out who we are. What is our determination in between all the things that we hear? And if Shirah means song, then we're part of a symphony. The beautiful thing about the symphony is each one of you play a part, and each one of you have a metaphoric instrument to be part of that symphony and the music that we create together. And we cannot thank you enough for taking the time in cold, windy, horrible weather to come and join us today. And a round of applause for you, I think. Yes. Now, in a little while, though, we're going to hear the real symphony, the real music that's going to come to you. Now, I don't know where our gentlemen are. They are, hopefully. They're coming. Okay, we'll wait for them. Yeah. Call them. Emil Kachaturian and Yuri Rising. I practiced it so hard. I can't believe it. I practiced it and I thought that I would get it right. And today it is our extreme pleasure. I cannot even tell you how much to introduce Emil and Yuri to that I don't know if I have enough adjectives to tell you about them. Emile, who's a renowned musical virtuoso, guitarist, composer, who's graced the stage all over the world, who's won more accolades and more prizes than I can actually name. The United States, Great Britain, Europe, Israel, Ukraine, all over the world. So while they're usually on the great world stage, we're so happy that they graced our Thorny Hill stage for us today. You're in for a real treat. Please give them a big, big, big round.